This is the best moments of the Barbecue Central show in 10 minutes or less. Ever wish you could re-listen to your favorite interview or segment? Do you enjoy hearing older shows for the first time in years? Then the best moments of the Barbecue Central show in 10 minutes or less is just what you need. Thanks for listening and enjoy the show.
Greetings, everybody. Welcome to this edition of the best moments of the Barbecue Central show in 10 minutes or less. Going way back today, way back to the very, very popular Roundtable series. This is a chicken roundtable from March the 16th in 2010. Greg sits down with the pitmasters of the roundtable and talks things comp chicken. Let's get right to it. Here's Greg and the Knights from March the 16th, 2010.
We're going to be talking barbecue chicken roundtable, and tonight sitting on the panel, Kelly Wertz from Legs Up BBQ. He was ranked number 4 in the KCBS for chicken category in 2009. Joe Amore from Smoky Mountain Smokers will also be sitting in, ranked number 5 last year in the chicken category at KCBS. And rounding out the 3-person panel, Troy Black from LearnToQ.com. Ranked number 7 last year in the KCBS chicken category. So, gentlemen, certainly appreciate you guys taking time out to do a little roundtable talk. All right, so let's go ahead and get into the pre-cook events here. We have some other questions that might be a little unrelated to the topic, should time permit, here at the end. But we're obviously talking about chicken here tonight. So when you're prepping, and Troy, we'll start with you. What cut or what brand of chicken are you using?
You know, I don't really have a particular brand that I use. The thing I really, my requirements are that it's all natural. I don't like the juiced up chicken, the enhanced chicken that's been pumped up with a saline solution or any kind of broth or anything like that. That's the one meat that I purchase locally wherever I'm competing at.
What about you, Kelly?
We're actually using Tyson thighs straight from Walmart. That's what we've had the best luck with. And part of the other thing out here where we're at, that is about my only choice. So we go with what we can get, and I pretty well know I can get Tyson's in Walmart wherever I'm headed. If I do something, screw something up and need to go get some more, at least I'm used to what those are cooking like.
Troy, let me go back to you. Are you doing thighs when you're cooking in competition?
I'm doing thighs, and I'm also doing some drumsticks.
All right, Joe, you particular to any brand, and what kind of a cut of chicken are you cooking for comps?
Well, I use Sanderson Farms chicken thighs, all natural, that I can buy locally here in town.
And you take those wherever you go, regardless?
Regardless, I actually probably buy enough chicken to do 5 comps. I prep my chicken here, vacuum seal it in a commercial vacuum sealer, and we package 14 thighs to a package, and we load them up and take them with us.
All right, so obviously it looks like everybody's here competing with thighs, holding Troy with some other cuts. And I would venture to say, you guys have been around the competition circuit quite a bit, and I would imagine you mostly see thighs when you're competing. Troy, have you ever decided to do like breasts, for instance, just one time, or have you always used thighs during your competition?
Only when I have to cook breast. I guess the Jack is the only place that we were forced to. No, just the window of opportunity there is just too narrow, and I just have got the feeling that they just won't do well.
What about you, Joe? You ever messed around with anything other than thighs?
I'm like Troy. The only time I've ever used them is when I had to at the Jack.
Kelly, same for you, or have you messed around a little bit?
We've messed around with some breasts before, and Joe and Troy are right. You're doing breasts. Their window is really narrow. You just got to watch them. They can dry out on you, and you never know what's happening in that turn-in box, especially with those. Nice thing about thighs, they stay warm. They they're going to stay moist and juicy no matter how long they're going to be in the box. On the way in, what they're going to do with them in the judging room, whatever it is. You start messing with some other things, you're narrowing your window.
All right, so when you guys are looking at the chickens, whether you're allegiant to one brand or the other, when you go to your particular purveyor, are you looking for something in specific on the chicken? Is there a color? Is there a size thing? What are you exactly looking for specifically when you're buying your chicken? And we'll go back to Kelly for that.
When I'm looking for thighs, I'm looking for basically when I go into Walmart, I'm looking for a Tyson 10 pack, 10 or 11 pack. Looking for nice skin on them, looking for somewhat uniform size, or as uniform as I can dig through the case and find that way. Try to stay away from anything that's got, half the package has got the skin tore up on it or rolled back, whatever it is. You don't know what you're getting into. And looking for as nice white of skin as I can find on them.
What about you, Joe? You looking for anything in particular when you're buying your chicken thighs?
Well, what I do is if I buy a 4-pack, I want them to weigh about 2 pounds. Of course, if it's an 8-pack, I want it to weigh 4 pounds. That way, when I get done trimming it, they start off large enough when I get done trimming them, they'll be the right size that I'm looking for.
And Troy will round out this question.
I guess I'm just looking for something not too big, not too small, nothing hairy.
Right.
Sometimes you'll see some hairy chicken. We don't want to use hairy chicken.
Judges don't like hairy chicken when they're judging the meat.
Yeah, they don't like that.
All right. So it sounds like, Joe, you're going to be cooking 14 thighs at a comp then?
Yeah, we cook 14 thighs. I mean, sometimes we'll do 16, but most of the time we just cook 14, and we're looking for 6 outstanding thighs to put in the box is what we're doing.
What about you, Kelly? How many are you cooking for a competition?
We're cooking 8.
And Troy?
I'm cooking 8 also.
All right, so when you're breaking these out, I mean, inevitably, it's funny because chicken is probably the most readily available and the cheapest out of all the barbecue meats that you can actually buy and probably practice with. But I've heard through a number of other people that it seems to be their Achilles heel when it comes to the competition side of things. So when you're starting to trim up the chicken, I mean, what's your process and how long does it usually take? And we'll start with Troy.
I don't do a lot of trimming. My process is pretty simple. I just rub it and put it away for the night, and it goes in the cooker the next morning.
No skin cutting or anything like that?
Not really, unless it's just something way out of the norm, just hanging out there.
What about you?
I hate dealing with chicken to begin with. I hate putting my hands on it. So I spend as little time as possible with it.
What about you, Kelly?
I'm kind of like Troy. I hate having to deal with chicken, but we do it. We trim all of our chicken on Thursday night on a normal contest schedule. We'll probably run half hour to run 8-10 thighs through, sort through that pack. Really just do a little trimming on them on the sides and kind of trying to get close to a uniform size as we can. Trim the big chunks of skin off of it and kind of even that skin up all the way around it, and that's really about it.
Joe, extensive trimming process on your end. How long does it usually take you?
I don't know. For a contest, it probably takes me about an hour and 15 minutes. I've got a little bit more trouble than the rest of them. I usually cut one knuckle off on my thighs and try to square the thigh up so it's a nice uniform size, leave enough skin so I can actually fold it up under the thigh so when it's shrinking, it doesn't pull up on the sides. I even go as far as pulling the blood vessels out of the thigh.
Anybody brine or inject chicken prior to going on the cooker? And we'll start with Kelly.
Yeah, it all gets brined. we mix up our brine at home, and when we get to the contest, get meat inspected, and usually sometime on Friday evening. I'm not especially on chicken, not that worried about it. Sometime there Friday evening, we'll dump the brine back on that chicken in that bag and let her set until morning.
How about you, Troy?
No, I don't do any brining, no injecting, anything like that.
To put in your request for a future show, please contact John Solberg via email at johnjon@bbqcentralshow.com.
That's right. Get a hold of me if you want to hear something. Get a hold of me if you want to leave some feedback. Hey, are you following the Big Barbecue Central Show on social media? It is at BBQ Central Show on Twitter and Instagram, and /BBQ Central Show over at Facebook. Give the big show a follow, helps the visibility, helps things out. It's very, very much appreciated and easy to do. All right, let's get right back into the chicken talk. Here is Greg and the Knights of the Chicken Roundtable.
No, I don't do any brining, no injecting, anything like that.
You're kind of out of the norm there, I think, buddy.
Yeah. No, here's the deal. My processes, not only chicken, my whole processes are very, very simple. And one of the reasons is I'm by myself, with the exception of my dog Rocco. So I've sort of simplified my processes to relax, because I do this so much. I compete full time. And so every weekend out there, I'm going to spend as much time relaxing as possible. And but I've developed processes at work without doing those kind of things.
How about you, Joe? You injecting or brining?
I brine my chicken.
Have you ever toyed around with injecting?
Well, I tried it when I first started in 2005, but I didn't like it, and I went back to brining. And we usually put our chicken in brine at 7 o'clock on Saturday morning, take it out at 8:30 Saturday morning.
All right, so a quick dip in the brine for you, Joe. Now, I don't know if I should or shouldn't ask this, but why not? It's my show, so I can. Anybody use toothpicks in order to properly hold that skin in place? And we'll start with Kelly.
No toothpicks. There again, like Troy, I don't like messing with that stuff anymore, and I have to, so I ain't going to spend the time to sit there and try to pin all that stuff down. And then if you've ever heard about the multicolored chicken skin, right, when it comes in, you use colored toothpicks. But no, we don't mess with that, and it really doesn't seem to bother us.
Joe, are you picking your chicken?
No, I don't.
Troy?
Absolutely not. Do people really do that?
Well, I'm here to ask the tough questions.
I guess so.
We're talking with Troy Black, Joe Amore, and Kelly Wertz here on the Chicken Roundtable. You guys use commercial rub or homemade rub on your chicken? We'll start with Joe.
I use my own rub that I've got commercially bottled at this point.
Troy, your own stuff, or are you using Joe's stuff?
I don't use Joe's. I use a commercial that I've doctored.
Can you tell us
the truth, Troy?
You tell us the name of the commercial brand?
No, I won't tell that.
It's not very sharing of you, Troy. I have to be upfront.
Oh yeah. No, I use an off-the-shelf product that I add a little bit of heat to, and that's about it.
What about you, Kelly?
We're using our own product. Actually, a combination of a couple of things we've put together here, and one we're just working on another one here this year that's working out pretty well for us.
All right, so after it's been dumped in the brine, if you're doing that, Troy is not, and you either have toothpicked your chicken skin or you haven't. How far in advance are you actually rubbing your chicken prior to going on the cooker? And we'll talk to Joe first on that.
What was the question again, Greg?
How far in advance are you rubbing the chicken before it goes on the cooker?
Oh, about 45 minutes before it goes on.
Troy?
Night before.
Oh, long time. And
less working on Saturday morning.
right, there you go. Kelly?
We're running about 2 to 3 hours. And kind of like Troy, it's just a matter of that's when it fits in the schedule. It's not that I'm really concerned whether it's 2 hours or 3 hours. That's just when it works in.
Yeah, so good range of time from 4 minutes to overnight, and then 2 to 3 hours for Kelly. Any other preparation items that you do with your chicken prior to going on the cooker that we haven't talked about? And we'll start with Troy.
No. Come straight out of the refrigerator, rub, and go straight on the cooker.
What about you, Joe?
Well, what I do is when I take my chicken out of the refrigerator and I put my rub on it, it sits for 45 minutes. At that point, when it's actually 11 o'clock is when I put my chicken on. So it goes straight from the tray to the cooker.
And Kelly, anything else you're doing to the chicken prior to going on the cooker?
No, we're just, pulling it out of the fridge and right on the cooker, too.
Now we have moved from preparation to the cooking section, and we'll go ahead and start with Troy with this question. What kind of wood are you using for smoke flavor?
Well, I'm using the mini logs that we put in our pellet cookers.
Right.
Use apple and cherry.
Everybody all right over there? Apple and cherry. All right, Joe. Your preferred flavor for smoke wood?
I use Barbecuer Delight's hickory and oak pellets.
Are they a sponsor? You mentioned them by name, so I didn't know if that was your NASCAR thing or what. All right, Kelly.
Well, yeah, Candy does sponsor us.
Kelly, your particular favorite of wood smoke?
We're using the mini logs as well, with just hickory and oak. 50-50 blend.
Hickory and oak. All right. What time are you guys putting the chicken on the cookers at Comps? And we'll start with Kelly.
It goes on the grill at 11 o'clock a.m.
Troy?
8:30.
8:30?
8:30.
All right. And Joe?
11 o'clock.
All right, so let me back up to Troy here for a second. Are you cooking at substantially lower temp? Well, you know what? That's going to be my next question. So why don't I just wait for that? No need to jump ahead of myself. So we'll ask you this question, Troy. What temperature do you keep the pit at while you're cooking your chicken?
250.
250. And you're putting the chicken on at 8:30?
8:30.
Now, I'm no scientist, but
degrees.
that seems like it would take a substantial amount of time. Or the chicken would be done well before turn-in time if you're putting it on at 8:30.
That's what it seems.
All right. You know better than me, that's for sure.
That's not what you told me, Troy. You got to realize. You got to realize. I'm using one pit most of the time, so the pit's loaded. The FE's loaded with all four meats there for a little bit, and so. I've got to sort of use a temperature that works for all the meats there at one time.
Gotcha. All right, Joe, what temperature you keeping the pit at?
Well, I guess I actually start off at 250 degrees. As soon as I put my thighs in, I turn a pit up to 400. I let it rock, and I cook my thighs in 33 minutes.
33 minutes and 10 hours. For Troy. All right, and we go over to Kelly. What temperature are you keeping your pit at?
We're running 400 for same right at 30 minutes.
Wow. Right now, it seems like Joe and Kelly have tremendously short cook times, but anybody during the cooking process here of the chicken, do you open up the cooker and do any type of basting or mopping of the chicken to add layers of flavor? And we'll start back with Troy.
No, I don't do any of that. That's too much work.
Joe?
No, I'm just 33 minutes to 34 minutes. I open my pit, check temp on my thighs. Usually they're done, and they come off and get ready to be sauced and put back on the pit.
All right, Kelly, any mopping at all during that short cook?
We spritz them a little bit, as they're cooking, and that's really about it. Come off in 30 minutes and sauce them. They go back on for about 3 or 4 minutes with that sauce on there in that hot pit, and they go in the box.
Is the spray like some type of apple juice and something or other concoction, or just water, or what are you using there?
It's a good concoction.
Very specific. I appreciate that.
Man, I tell you.
What internal temperature are you shooting for to finish the chicken? And we'll start with Joe.
Well, that's one thing I'm not going to tell you. Everybody's wanting to hold back, but let's just
so now you're going to start?
You guys got to give up a little bit more. I'm giving up a lot.
That's the fun of the round table is, nobody has to pay $800 for a class. You guys can just give up all your secrets for free. It's great. Yeah. So you're just putting it in there for time. You're not really looking for a specific internal temperature, Joe?
Well, I'm looking for a specific internal temperature, and I know what that is, but I really don't want to give that temperature up.
All right, Troy, are you pleading the fifth as well on this?
I'm just shooting for the USDA minimum guidelines on chicken doneness.
Right. So for chicken thighs, that's 180 degrees. So we'll put Troy down at 180 degrees.
Actually, no. The USDA has changed that. Everything, they've gone away from the guidelines from dark meat and breast meat. Now everything is at 165 degrees.
So what do you think that's going to do to the poultry community when they put those self-timing or those self-thermometers in the breast meat of the turkey that's set to go off at 180 degrees? That's probably going to have a huge recall, right?
That's right.
Outrageous. Kelly.
Why do you think nobody can cook chicken?
There you go.
I'm a happy homeowner with those things.
You have a specific internal temperature you're shooting for, Kelly?
Actually, we're shooting for closer to 175, 180.
And there is just a couple of short segments from this Chicken Roundtable from March the 16th, 2010. If you'd like to hear the rest of the show, head over to the bbqcentralshow.com. It will be right there on the homepage for you today. Hey, you like the Roundtable concepts? Just search Roundtable in the Barbecue Central Show search box. It will bring up all the roundtables, the pork butt, the brisket, the chicken, the ribs. You're going to love them all. Hey, while you're there, subscribe to the Barbecue Central Show via podcast. Never miss an episode of this show or the Really Big Show again. Thank you so much for checking it out. Until next time on the best moments of the Barbecue Central Show in 10 minutes or less, I am your host, John Solberg, and I do look forward to talking to you again soon.